So, once upon a time, Halise was a little first grader. Was I in first grade or was I in kindergarten, actually? I might have been in kindergarten. Was I in kindergarten? Or was I in like fourth grade? Somewhere in grade school, I was one of those kids that was like too smart. I was one of those kids that could listen to adults having a conversation and then butt in and be like, but you're just being lazy. Why don't you just tell your wife that you don't want to do it and that you just want to be lazy? I was that kid. So, my parents just really had to work with me as far as just like being too woke, like I was a little too woke too soon. I'm at grade school and everything's going good. But I'm sitting in class, right? I'm sitting in class doing my little simple math, timetables, whatever. And something dawns on me. I have a realization, if you will. I have like this like wait a minute, And I begin to notice that some kids just be strolling into class whenever just the spirit moves them to stroll into class. So I'd be sitting there and like little Billy Bob strolls into I think my elementary school teacher's name, what was her name? She was like 75 when I was in school, so pretty sure she's dead. Miss Wiederman. Little Billy Bob stroll into Miss Wiederman's class, right? So late. We done been had lunch, like so late. And Miss Wiederman be like, okay. And I'm just like, he's just, what? And then, or paging, paging Jamie Sue to the office, And Jamie Sue just leave for the day. Like Jamie Sue just gone for the day. And I was just like, I don't have to be here. I can be here, but I don't have to be here. Like none of these kids are here on time ever. I don't have to be here. This is optional. So once I realized this, once I had this epiphany, this awakening, if you will, I felt the need to act on it. I was like, I don't gotta be here, I ain't gonna be here. I was low key with my mischief. All the teachers loved me because I was the cute little educated black kid. Because let's be frank, I grew up in suburban San Antonio. So I was like always the only black kid. Like, oh, that little one, she's adorable. The librarian loved me, the principal on my side. Like everybody trusts me, right? Because I know when to be mischievous and I know when to play it cool. So I had enough sense to think like, this is optional, but I bet you the parents and the teachers want you to stick around. Like they just don't want you to know that it's optional, right? So I raised my hand. Miss Wiedemann calls on me. She's like, hey, boo, what you need? But she's white and 75, so she's like, yes, honey, what can I do for you? And I'm like, hey, Miss Wiedemann, can I go pee? And I'm not lying, because I actually do need a pee, by the way. Oh, I'm backtracking. I had recruited others. So I told others of my manifesto of we don't have to be here, and I had recruited others on my side. And then I told them my plan to escape, and they were on board. And then I'm like, deuces. I mean, I pieced out, but I had enough sense to know that I couldn't leave the school necessarily because the bus was what got me home. And if I miss my bus, I'll have to walk home, and that's kind of lame, and I didn't really want to have to walk home. I also had like after school care that I had to like contend with, and if I'm not on that bus, then my after school care will know that I wasn't there, right? Like I thought ahead, y'all. That's how too woke, too smart for my own good. What I did was I hung out at the school. I went through the library for a little while, roamed the halls a little bit, checked out what the fifth graders were doing. Like I was having fun. I was living life. And then I wrapped it up once my fellow colleagues had found me. I wrapped it up at the playground. And we all met at the playground and had ourselves a good old time because for a solid 45 minutes, we were out there by ourselves. No one else was out there with us, and it was golden. Had the slide all to myself. Thank you. But my tragic flaw in this whole endeavor was that I forgot about the PE coaches. quickly noticed that there were unsupervised kids out on the playground. And we're like, they approached us and we're like, where are y'all supposed to be? And we were like, wherever we want to be. Haven't you heard the manifesto? Yeah, no, that's not going to fly, McFly. So, surprisingly enough, I didn't get in trouble for this. Not at the school, anyway. I didn't get in trouble at the school. I remember going back to class, I think, and like going about my day as usual. But then by the time my parents got me from my after school care, something was amok. Apparently they had called them. So, my father gets home. My mom's already home, I think. And my father gets home and he sits me down at the table, because this is how this worked. Like, I don't know, whatever your views are on corporal punishment, and maybe that's a whole nother vlog all into itself. But at this point, my dad, whenever he would spank me, or if I was going to get spanked or punished, there was always a conversation. There was always like the before spanking conversation, the spanking, and then the after spanking conversation. So he sat me down and he was like, so, your mom's not happy. And by this point, I've learned enough in my life, and the adage has absorbed into my skin. If mama not happy, nobody's happy, right? So I'm already like, oh man, mom's not happy. This is serious. He's like, but I gotta know, like, I have to know. What was your mindset going into this? Like, what did you. And that was something that I loved about him. He always wanted to know my point of view. Even if he didn't agree, he always wanted to know. And I explained to him my manifesto calmly. It was like, this makes sense, right? Like, we don't have to be here. I don't have to be there. And he was like, so that is a rational mindset that you got to. But here's the thing. It's against the law. You actually do have to be there by law. So that's why I'm spanking you now, because you need to be there and you need to be active and you need to be participating. This is crucial. You have to get to college, And so I got my spanking and it sucked. But what sucked even more was that, I come from a huge church family. Like, it takes a village to raise a child. Like, I've got my village, and it was all part of my church family that I had grown up with, predominantly African American church, and by the time Sunday rolled around, I think this all just went down like on a Tuesday or something. By the time Sunday rolled around and my mom had time to vent to all of the church family, man, I was getting it left and right from like the church elders, my friends, sisters, mamas, auntie, like my godparents even like borderline spanked me for it. Like, everybody was just roasting me, like dragging me on this one thing I did. And I was just like, this is absurd. Like, I already can't sit, and now I got y'all just like, it was so frustrating. Can I make a mistake though? Like, can I live my life, Point of the story is, I did not skip school again until I was in college. And even then, I did a second take, because by the time you get to university, you're paying for all your own classes. So now it's like, do I really want to skip? Do I really want to lose out on that $150 that I'm just dropping? They just distilled this into me. I remember like in high school, all my white friends were like, we're going to skip and go to the mall. And they'd be like, Halise, you want to come? And I was just like, psh. Bro, I could totally get away with it too. Like, I probably could. But if for some random reason we actually get caught, I just can't go through that again. Like, I cannot, y'all. So y'all go do you, and I'm just going to stay and get these grades and get these scholarships and go to college. And that's the story about the time I skipped school in kindergarten and never skipped school again. I'll see you when I see you. Story time, take one. Face is oily. This is the my levers here. Okay.